Yeah. So far we have covered details with respect to basics of computers, and also I have emphasized on typing as part of the first session. And as part of the basics of computers, we have covered details with respect to files, file extensions, managing files, dealing with trash, searching for files, so on and so forth. I hope you practiced and you are comfortable with those things. Now we'll talk about softwares, and then we will also understand the relationship between files and softwares, and then we'll actually get into the hardware components. We will try to cover these three things. As part of relationship between files and softwares, we will actually pick up this table, okay? And we'll use this table and we'll start populating this table. So we'll understand what is the softwares we should use to open and manage text files. What are the softwares for doc or docx files? As of now, we should be using docx. Doc is a bit outdated. For PDF, what are the softwares we need to have, so on and so forth. But before getting in there, let us understand details with respect to the softwares. You already might have heard about few softwares. However, I don't want to ask the question what softwares you know. I'll just want to start with the most important software in your computer. It is nothing but operating system. You might not have heard about it, or you might have heard about it in a different way, but in general, we call it as operating system. So what is the operating system? If you actually understand the phrase operating system, it have operating, right? So it will make your computer operating. A computer is nothing but set of hardware components. What are those hardware components? We'll talk at a later point in time. But operating system is named such because it actually operates your computer and give you whatever you need using your computer. Okay, so what are the examples of operating system, or the terms which you are familiar with? They are nothing but Windows 10, right? You already know Windows 10. Others might be using Chromebook. Chrome is also OS. Apple Mac, we have Mac, and also each operating system have version. When it comes to Microsoft based operating system, it is popularly known as Windows, but you see 7, 10, Vista, there are so many tags beside that. Those are called as versions. Why we have versions? Over a period of time, as we grow, the software developers will also improvise on the operating system features. Yeah, I know Shlok that you are also using Chrome. So as software developers add more and more features, they define the versions, and that's where the versions comes into picture. So Microsoft versions are nothing but 10, 7, etc. Whereas when it comes to Mac, they give names like Yosemite. They name off of some of the tourist spots, popular spots, etc. So they give some different names for each and every version. They also have version, but along with that, they try to brand using some names. Even Chrome should have the versions. If anyone using Ubuntu, I think Shlok also have a system with Ubuntu. His father might be using Ubuntu or some Linux-based version. So there are several other operating systems also, which you as kids you might not be familiar with. They are nothing but Ubuntu. As you grow, you will obviously prefer towards Ubuntu or Mac because they are more powerful if you really want to be a software engineer, or you want to build your career towards IT, then you definitely prefer Mac or Ubuntu over Windows. At the time, you'll hear about Ubuntu, Linux flavors, etc., and then you will understand those things. So the most basic software is nothing but operating system. The most fundamental or foundational software we can say is nothing but operating system, and we have explored some of the terms also which we hear very common. Okay, thank you, Adarsh. You can unmute yourself and you can actually uh, uh, give the details by unmuting yourself also. However, once you talk, you can actually mute yourself. That being said, let me add Ayush. Alexandra and also Naina and Meghna. Both are using the same computer. Let me add them also to the panelists. Let me also ask them to stream the video so that I know they are attentive. Okay, if you choose to not to stream the video, you can mute. Uh, it is fine with me. So operating system is the most foundational software. And how to get that information? If you are using Windows, if you want to get the details about the operating system that is being used, you can actually go to the File Explorer. So File Explorer is nothing but this yellow icon. And you see this PC, you can click on that. You can right click on that and you can say properties. It will give you the details about the operating system you have. On top of it, it will also give the details such as how much memory we have, so on and so forth. So this is the operating system version. Okay, if you are using Mac, on the top left corner there is the Apple icon. You can expand that and you can say about this Mac, and then you should be able to see the details about the Mac, which includes the operating system details as well. Let me see. Yeah, the current operating system is nothing but Catalina, and the version is nothing but 10.15.3. Okay, this is how Mac actually brand their operating system versions. So as of now, I have Mac OS Catalina. So the major versions, whenever they shift from 9 to 10 to 11, they brand it like this. And then within that, there will be several minor versions. Okay, you don't need to break your head at this time. Just make sure you understand that operating system is the main software which will make your computer operating. And then we will install additional softwares if at all they are required. As part of the operating system, we also get additional softwares. Okay, what are those additional softwares? If you are using Windows, you might be familiar with Internet Explorer or Edge. Okay, it is also a software. And what is the purpose of that software? It is primarily to browse, to go to Gmail, to open Google Docs in the browser, so on and so forth. If you are using Chrome OS, obviously there is something called as Chrome, which is popular as a browser, and you will get the browser for it. So if you want to browse the internet, you need to have browser. Even when it comes to browsing the internet, there are several softwares and people use whatever they are convenient with, but most of the softwares to browse the internet will look alike. Examples are Chrome, Safari. If you are using a Mac, if you are using Ubuntu, probably you might be using Firefox, so on and so forth. So another software which comes typically as part of the operating system itself is nothing but browsers. Okay, and the examples are Chrome, Edge or Internet Explorer if you are familiar with Microsoft based environment, and then Safari in Mac, and also a very popular browser which is not tied up with any operating system is nothing but Firefox. Okay, many people they want to use Chrome, but Chrome might not come as part of the main operating system. So when we set up Windows, for example, in this Windows based machine, I have Internet Explorer and Edge because they come as part of the main operating system itself. However, I am very convenient with Chrome and I want to set up Chrome in this. So what I have to do, I have to understand the life cycle of installing new softwares and I have to act accordingly. I will get into those details and I will demonstrate by downloading and installing Chrome on this Windows based machine. Any software, not just browser, any software, if you have to install, first you have to download and install, and I will actually go through those steps. However, as kids, you should not install without your parents' presence. You need to have your parents beside you, even if you want to install any software. Most of the good softwares involve money also, and hence he have to pay in some cases, or she have to pay in some cases. So make sure you have your parent beside you before you install anything. If at all you have permissions to install softwares on your system. Without your parent presence, never install any software. It will get you something called as viruses, okay, which are more dangerous than COVID, which can impact your computer drastically, which will be detrimental not only your productivity, but also your parent productivity. Your parent has to troubleshoot the issues and fix those issues, and it will eat up his time also. To avoid that, it's better to sit with your parent, make sure that you download and install only appropriate softwares that are required to you. And also I will explain you how to uh, uh, install the required softwares depending upon the problem statement. So we need to have a problem statement, and as part of building solution for that problem statement, we have to act accordingly. We just should not go ahead and download and install whatever is you think is required or relevant. Okay. Apart from browsers, what other softwares we typically have? We have something called as Microsoft Office. However, Microsoft Office is not one software. It is actually a suite of products that are included as part of the Microsoft Office. What are they? They are nothing but Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint. These two are the most popular ones which you will be using. And also very important one is nothing but Microsoft Excel. I'll be covering when we actually get into the Microsoft Office. On top of it, there are additional softwares, but you can ignore for now. We'll come back to the additional softwares when we talk about at a later point in time. So like this, we can actually explore whatever softwares that are there as part of the system. Now let's understand the installation of software installation lifecycle. So as we have to take care as part of the operating system, okay, I am actually creating a bullet point under operating system. You need to observe these things, how I am creating the content, so that it will make sense whenever we come back and try to refer. We should be able to recollect the information very, very quickly. So here I am saying software installation life cycle. We'll be using Chrome as example. Okay, because I want to use Chrome browser rather than Internet Explorer or Edge on my Windows system, and hence I want to demonstrate how to install a particular software using Chrome itself. Now I'm closing this. I have demonstrated how to review the information about the operating system and all. So when it comes to any software installation, as of today, the common practice is let me mute everyone. There is some background noise. So first I will highlight the life cycle in the form of text. Then I will actually demonstrate how to take care of it. First, we need to download, install, configure, start. These are the 4 steps which you need to keep in mind with any software. Sometimes the configure step might be a bit complicated depending upon the complexity of the software which you are trying to set up. Sometimes it will be very straightforward, and sometimes it will be configured with all the settings which you require by default. You don't need to do anything. However, these are the 4 steps which you need to keep in mind while installing the software. As of today, typically we open the existing browser if you don't know where that software is, and then go to Google. Okay, and as part of the Google, I can actually say Chrome download and hit enter. Now it took me to the some links you see here. Let me actually go back to the normal only, not full screen. Full screen is not looking good. I'm not able to expand for some reason today, but that's fine. So you see here, there are several links, and whenever you try to search the softwares also, you will see several links. You have to make sure that you choose the appropriate link. You have to download only from authorized websites. Typically, we should ignore the ad unless and until you know that this ad is relevant to whatever you are trying to do. The way you can think through this problem is you need to understand who is the owner of the product which we are trying to download and install. In this case, Chrome is owned by Google. Even though this is an ad, because it is owned by Google itself, we can actually rely on this and we should be able to download and install. But if you are seeing ads from any other websites, don't download from there. Make sure you understand more about the product, who the owner is. Make sure you only download from the authorized sites. Anyway, you have to sit with your parent and then take it further. Don't install by yourself, even though I'm explaining the steps. Okay. Now I can scroll down. There's a go to download link here, and also here also there is download now. You can click on this. Now it will start downloading it. It is taking some confirmations from us for the compliance purpose, and then it is showing this download Chrome button. You can actually click on this and then say save. You can also say run. It will download and install for you automatically. However, I just want to download. I don't want to install directly. And now it is actually downloading. And if you look at the extension of this, it is .exe. Typically, the softwares in Windows that are used to download and install, especially to install as part of the Windows, will have extensions such as exe, MSI, etc. MSI stands for Microsoft Installer. Okay, and based upon the system from which you are trying to download, it will automatically pick up the right softwares to download in most of the websites. In some websites, it might not be the case, but in most of the websites, it will download the appropriate softwares with the right extensions for you. Now, if I want to do it as part of the Mac, I already have Chrome, but still I'm going to Google here and saying download Chrome and hit enter. I am clicking on the same download now button which I have clicked as part of the Windows. Till here it is same, and when I say download Chrome, it is downloading here. Okay, and you see it is saying .dmg. On Mac, all the installers are typically either .dmg or .pkg. So installers are nothing but a compressed software which will facilitate you to set up something. EXE stands for executable. EXE stands for executable. MSI stands for Microsoft installer. I'm not 100% sure what DMG stands for, but in Mac we use DMG. Okay, and don't worry if you don't understand all these terms. It is fine. You just need to understand that we have different set of installers for different operating systems. On Ubuntu, you might be seeing the extensions with a different different characters, or the extensions might be different when it comes to Ubuntu based softwares that are being installed on the PC. The same Chrome, when I installed on my Mac, the installer package for Mac is with extension .dmg, whereas on Windows it is .exe. On Ubuntu it could be something else. On Chrome it comes as part of the operating system also, so you don't need to install on Chrome OS or Chromebook. Okay, so far I hope it is clear. If you have any questions, you can ask leveraging the chat, and then we can take it further. Once the download is done, you can see that it says Chrome setup.exe finished downloading. As the download is done, we can click on run and we should be able to install. If you want to go to the software and see whether it is downloaded completely or not by validating it, you can click on this open folder and it will actually go to the folder where this file is downloaded for you. So if I click on this open folder, you see it is taking us to the downloads. I will come back to these important folders at a later point in time, and I will explain details about this. Similarly, if I go to Mac, expand this, and if I click on this search icon on the right, it will actually take me to the downloads, and also it highlights that file automatically for us. You see here, it is automatically highlighted for us. If you are using Mac, if you don't have Chrome, you can double click on this and you should be able to install. On Windows, I don't have, and hence I'm installing on Windows. On my Mac, I already have, and hence I'm not installing on my Mac. Now, once it is downloaded, either you can click on run directly on the page where we saw that run option, or we can go to the downloads folder by clicking on open folder, and then we should be able to double click on that. Once you double click, it will install the software. So far we have seen the software is downloaded and then it is being installed. Once it is installed, then the next step will be configure and start. Okay, and even though it started automatically, it is asking for the first configuration which we want to take care if at all we want to do so. So it is saying whether we want to use Chrome as the default browser on this machine. If you say set as default, that means you are configuring that software. Okay, so sometimes the configuration might not be quite obvious, but you need to understand that as part of the software installation process, we not only download, install, and start. Before start, we typically do the configuration. Sometimes the configurations happen, the configuration steps happen while starting itself. Okay, we will see those details as we proceed further. Whenever we install new softwares, I will explain more about configure, and then you will understand that. At this time, you should have understood the 3 steps at least, if not all the 4 steps, right? Download, install, and start. Those three steps should be clear, and it is started automatically for us. If you don't want to, or if it doesn't start automatically for us, you can close it. Once it is downloaded and installed, you can go to that software by clicking on this search icon or by clicking on this start, and then you should be able to identify where it is available, and you can take it further. Earlier we used to go to the start and try to open, but now we have this very powerful search. You can actually click on this. You already see that the recent softwares that are installed are showing up here, and we should be able to click on this and we should be able to open the browser. So let me close these things. And now if I want to launch Chrome, let me click on this, and you see the, so these are search results actually. This is not the app. If I click on this, it is opening in the Internet Explorer itself. I was wrong. As part of the search option, it is not showing up the actual apps that are installed. If you want to go to the app that is installed already, you can say Chrome, and it should say app at the bottom. If it say app at the bottom, that means there is a software installed on your PC with that pattern, and hence you can start using it. But if it doesn't say app, most likely it will actually connect to the internet and show the search results. However, if you want to confirm whether it is available on your PC or not, it should show app at the bottom like this if you are using Windows. And then you can click on this, and you should be able to open the Chrome and you can take it further. I want to set as default. Let me set as default. Now it is asking to take care of few additional steps. We will do those things also, and then we will take it further. We don't need to do anything here. I think we can just close it. And going forward, if there is a HTML file and if I double click on that, it will automatically open the Chrome for me. Okay. So now again I'm closing. If I close it, it is going off from this bar at the bottom. Now if I want to open, I have to again go search for Chrome, and then we can take it further. However, going forward, I want to use Chrome over Internet Explorer, and hence I want to pin it here. For that, I can right click on this and then say pin to taskbar. This is called as taskbar. You can pin it. Now, even if I close it, even though the program is exited, still you can see it here. Going forward, you don't need to go into this and start typing Chrome to search for the app. You already have it here, and you should be able to use it going forward. Okay, and make sure that you have only handful items here. You should only have frequently used ones as part of the taskbar if you are using Windows. If you are using Mac, you should be using very few items as part of the dock. In Mac, we call it as dock. Okay, let me show here. Yeah, I am not able to get to the bottom of this, but that's fine. So we can actually change the dock to this sidewards. I think even with respect to taskbar also, we should be able to do that in Windows if you want to keep it on the side. So these are the items which I have on the dock. The reason why I have too many is because I'm doing a bit of work. Whenever something is started, automatically it will be here. But once I start closing them by saying quit like this, it will go off because they are not pinned in the dock. You can see that all that Word document, PowerPoint, etc. are going off of the dock. Okay, but if I close, let's say Slack, I think I have pinned it already. As I have pinned it already, even though I exit, the dot is gone, but the item is still in the dock. The reason why I have pinned Slack in the dock is I use it very frequently. So you only have those items which are extensively used as part of the taskbar or dock. And also as part of the Mac, if you want to open Chrome for the first time after the installation, you can go to the Spotlight search and you can search for Chrome. Then you can actually open Chrome, which is already available on this Mac. Okay, this is how you can open up once you install for the first time. If you are using Chrome very frequently over Safari, I use Safari on my Mac, I don't use Chrome. That's why Safari is here and Chrome is not in the list. But on Windows, I typically prefer Chrome over Internet Explorer. Now, I don't use Internet Explorer. I don't use this Microsoft App Store or Microsoft Store that often. I also don't use Outlook, okay, which is nothing but mail. If I want to remove from the taskbar, as I don't use them, I just have to right click and unpin from the taskbar. So these two are the ones which I frequently use as of now on this Windows based system, and hence I have only these two. Okay, so everything clear? Do you guys have any questions with respect to download, install, and start? Configure definitely will have some questions. It is a bit complex concept. As we proceed further, we will pick up all the details with respect to configure. So let me highlight these to green, assuming that these are completely covered. Okay, we'll come back to configure several times in the future, and hence as I have covered up to an extent, I am highlighting it in the yellow color. Okay, so we have covered quite a bit of information with respect to softwares. Let me change it to green. Sorry, I changed the text color, not the background or the highlight. Let us change it to green for now. And also let me change it to green. So from the context of softwares, we understood these things so far. Now we will get into the relationship between files and softwares. Okay, so I will highlight the softwares that we typically use for these different purposes. Depending upon whenever you need them, you can download and install. For TXT, if you are using Windows, again, depending upon the operating system, the softwares might be a bit different in some cases, but most of the items which are highlighted here, we use the same softwares except for some, and I will talk about those things as we proceed further. TXT is typically used as file extension for simple text files. And what are the softwares that we use? They are nothing but Notepad, Notepad++, if it is Windows. So if you are talking about Windows, we use this. If you are talking about Mac, we use something called as TextEdit. Notepad comes out of Windows, out of the box. We don't need to install anything. TextEdit comes as part of Mac out of the box. We don't need to install anything. However, these are very primitive. Even though they are available, I don't recommend to use them. Okay, for example, if you want to access TextEdit on Mac, you can say TextEdit like this, and you should be able to see the text editor. Uh, Let me create a new document, and this is how TextEdit look like. Okay, and then you can actually write something which is in simple text, and you can save and you can take it further. I don't use TextEdit that often. Same is the case with Windows. If you search for Notepad here for simple text files, it is already available, and we can use it, but it is very primitive and I don't recommend to use it. Rather than using TextEdit or Notepad, if you are using Windows, you can use something called as Notepad++. If you look at Notepad++, it is not available as part of this, and hence I would highly recommend you to download and install if you are using Windows. That way we will understand the download and install lifecycle of the Notepad++. We will see if at all it is required for our future purposes, we'll use it. But if you don't, we don't use it. However, you can sit with your parent and install Notepad++ on your Windows-based machine. On Mac, you don't need that. You will understand at a later point in time. For now, if you are using Mac, don't install Notepad++. Just ignore. Don't worry too much about it. Okay. So for simple text files, these are the ones which are typically used. For Doc or DocX, we use Microsoft Office or Microsoft Word, which comes as part of the Office. For PDF, we have something called as Adobe Acrobat Reader. If you just want to read the files which are in PDF format, these readers are free and you should be able to download and install. If you don't have Adobe Acrobat Reader on your machine, go ahead and install it. What you have to do, you have to go to Google, search for Adobe Acrobat Reader, download it and install it. If you have any PDF document on your system, try to open it using Acrobat Reader to validate. So I will leave it as an exercise for you. Make sure you install Adobe Acrobat Reader on your system if it doesn't exist. How to validate if it exists or not? You just have to go to Spotlight Search if you are using Mac and search for Acrobat Reader. On Windows, you just search for that. Like this, and you can see that there is no app at the bottom. It is saying see web results, and as part of the web results, we have Acrobat Reader download. You can actually click on this and choose Google Chrome if you want to use Chrome to open the URL directly for the download. Okay, and then you should be able to download. However, if you look at this link, right, it is saying download PDF Reader, but this is not from Adobe. Adobe is the owner for PDF or Acrobat Reader software, and hence you should avoid using this. You can scroll down further and you can actually look for URLs from Adobe itself. This is from Adobe. You can see this URL, get.adobe.com/reader. You can actually click on this, and it is a free PDF viewer, and you should be able to download and install. Okay, and also while installing, you have to go through these details. Make sure you deselect them. These additional softwares are not required. They're trying to push additional stuff for you. Also, there are Chrome extensions with respect to Acrobat Reader. If you want to set up the Chrome extension also, so that you can open the PDFs within the browser itself, you can enable this. I would highly recommend to enable this. However, I would recommend to deselect this. These are not required. And then click on download Acrobat Reader and take it further. So download, install, and start. To validate whether you are able to open PDFs or not, you identify some PDF which is relevant to you and try to open it using Acrobat Reader. That will confirm that everything is set up successfully. Okay, so I need to highlight that also. So as part of this software installation lifecycle, we should also validate, and you need to know how to validate depending upon the purpose of the software. And this also I will keep it yellow. We'll come back to this quite a few times in the future, and you will understand for sure what is this all about. Now, when it comes to PowerPoint, the software is nothing but Microsoft PowerPoint. and it comes as part of the Office. And this will not be typically available out of the box with the operating system. Now, if I say PowerPoint, again, there is no app that is already installed. It is actually taking us to the search results. We can click on this and we should be able to download and install. However, in your parents' computers, if you are using your parents' computers, or if you are getting computer for some other people, they might have installed the Office for you already, and hence it might be available out of the box for you. Okay, and you need to keep in mind that all these softwares are costly; they are not free. Just don't go ahead and download and install. If even though if they say free, once you get used to it, you might have to pay, and it can turn out to be expensive one. So make sure you sit with your parent and understand the repercussions of downloading and installing the softwares, and with your parent supervision only try to download and install any software. Don't go and try to install. Anvita made a mistake in the past in mobile where she have downloaded some games, and I got $1,000 bill. Okay, and I got it waived. It's a different story, but you have to be extremely careful. Even though you get some elevated permissions, you should not just go ahead and use it, because people will be behind you to tempt you and attract you. You have to control that, and you should push back, and don't download and install even if it is free without your parents' supervision. Okay, even if your parents say go ahead and install, you don't do that. You make sure that he sit with you. And my younger one is very good at that. If she is doing homework, even though she don't need my support, she will force me to sit and engage her. She don't need her support, but she will do that. So you have to learn that. You have to make sure that your parent hear your concern and sit with you to install the softwares. Okay, going forward, if your parent is not listening, ping me. I will counsel them to take care of that. Okay, they have to sit with you while downloading and installing the software. It is very, very important. That's why I'm emphasizing that quite a few times. Now, when it comes to video files, most of the operating systems will come with the pre-installed softwares to open video files. On Mac, we have something called as I think Quick Player or something, QuickTime Player. On Mac, you have QuickTime Player. This is the one which will come out of the box. Using this, you should be able to play videos, songs, etc. On Windows also, there is something called as Windows Media Player. You can search for it. You see Windows Media Player is already available. Okay, so when it comes to extensions with respect to video files, on top of MP4, the other popular ones are WMV. So let me insert one more row here, WMV. And what WMV stands for? Windows Media Player Video. So that can be played with Windows Media Player only. WMV stands for Windows Media Video. Okay, this is also can be used for audio and video files. Even MP4 is for both audio and or video. You can only use it for audio, you can only use it for video, or you can use it for both also. Okay, and what are the softwares? They are nothing but QuickTime Player on Mac and Windows Media Player on Windows, and they will be there out of the box. Don't install any other media players on your system. Okay, you just have to use only the existing ones. For WMV, if it is Windows, you have to use Windows Media Player. I think QuickTime Player will understand WMV also, and it might be able to play the videos. If not, we will see how to take care of it. If at all we have to play WMV on Mac. That being said, another important extension which is missed as part of the file extensions topic is nothing but IMG. We want to have images, and it's very important for us as part of our projects. We will download images from internet, and we have to use as part of our projects, right? So what are the extensions for IMG? Almost everything can be copied, can be used to view images, but the actual images, there are certain softwares which you need to understand, especially if you want to edit images. Okay, these are nothing but image files, and if you want to edit images, there are other extensions also for images. They are nothing but JPEG, JPG, etc. These are popular ones. If you want to edit these images and create high resolution images, or if you want to merge two images into one image, so on and so forth, typically we use something called as Photoshop. And Photoshop is also from Adobe. It is not a free software, you have to pay for it. Okay, there are some free softwares also to perform basic installations. They are nothing but Snitch. Let me get the name of it. Skitch, not Snitch. So Skitch from Sketch. Okay, so instead of saying Sketch, they say Skitch. It is a very effective tool. If you have an image, if you want to highlight a particular part, you can use that, and then you can use it as part of your project. And it's a free and open source. It is not an open source software, but it have a free version, and it will serve some of your purposes. Make sure you download it. We will be using it to highlight few things as part of our projects. So Sketch is the software which you have to download and install on our system, on your systems, and I will explain how to use it to customize your images for your projects. Now, when it comes to spreadsheets, again, we have something called as Microsoft Excel. Again, it comes as part of the Office. Most likely, your parents' laptop should have Microsoft Office. If not, ask them to install. We'll be using it quite extensively as we proceed further. You don't install by yourself. Make sure Microsoft Office is taken care by your parent only. And then HTML, it is used extensively by software engineers directly, but you will be using it very often indirectly. Every page you visit in browser is nothing but a HTML page. Okay, and you will get into the nuances of HTML when we get into programming aspects into programming aspects at a later point in time. For now, don't worry too much about it. Typically, we need browsers, and depending upon the OS, we use whatever is specific or whatever is convenient for us. Okay, examples are Chrome, Safari, etc., and we should already have these browsers on our systems. Okay, I would highly recommend you to install Chrome, even if you are using Windows or Mac. Anvita's laptop already should have Chrome. If not, make sure you download and install Chrome on your system. Okay, and I have demonstrated how to do that at the beginning itself. Go through this video once again and download and install Chrome if you don't have Chrome on your system. If you are using Chromebook already, you should already have Chrome, and hence you should be good to go. I will show some of the advanced features that you can leverage as part of the browser to actually make yourself more productive. Okay, so this is about relationship between files and softwares. I'm highlighting it as green. You need to understand these relationships and you have to take it to the next level. Now, let's talk about the hardware components. It is a bit tough to understand at your level, but I will highlight some of the key aspects so that at least you understand some terms. And then as you grow, you have to build strong fundamental understanding about these hardware components, which I'm going to cover. What are the hardware components which you should be familiar with? They are nothing but memory card and memory sticks. Another one is CPU, which is also known as Central Processing Unit. I don't remember the acronyms and abbreviations. I think this is called as acronym, right? Yeah, acronym. I don't remember the acronyms. If I'm not correct, please correct me. You might have already heard this term called as CPU as part of your school. If I'm not correct, please correct me. Okay, I only term it as CPU, and I only use the term CPU. I never use this, and hence I might be incorrect sometimes. Memory, CPU, and another thing is uh, hard drive. It is also called as storage. So the actual layman terms that can be used here are nothing but memory, processing, and then storage. These are the layman terms, and these are a bit technical terms. Memory card and memory sticks, CPU, and hard drive are the technical terms. Also, lately there is something called as solid state drive. It is also called as SDD, solid state disks, not drives. Solid state disks, it is called as SSD. And when it comes to hard drive, it is also called as hard drive disks, and it is called as HDD. Okay, these are the main hardware components. If you relate the computer with a human, okay, the main difference between computer and human is human have capability to think. Computer cannot think, but it can do whatever you ask it to do in different ways, depending upon how it is configured. That's the main difference. Apart from that, you can easily relate the human body with the computer. Okay, so when it comes to anatomy of the human body, right, you have the skeleton, and around the skeleton you have brain, you have the skin and all, and the skeleton also contain legs, hands, etc., right? So you have the skeleton and you have the other parts, heart and everything is fitted into the skeleton. So as we have some core parts in our body like brain, heart, etc., and as they are sticked together using skeleton, even computer have core components. They are nothing but memory, processing, and storage. That the technical terms are nothing but memory card and memory sticks, CPU, and hard drive, and they have to be stitched together, right? Like we have skeleton, the computer have something called as motherboard. Okay, so the motherboard will have all these things stitched together, and also we have the nervous system to connect to all these components, right? As part of our body, we have nervous system which will connect our brain to heart and other rest of the components of our body. Even within the computer, if you actually open up the computer and if you see the video related to how a computer look like, uh, all these discrete components are connected using some cables. Internally, there will be some very thin cables that will be used to connect, and that you can think as if it is nothing but a nervous system of a human. So there will be memory, processing, storage, motherboard to stitch all these things together, and the way all these things are connected is by using some tiny cables. Okay, probably I will ask Shlok's dad, because I think he's an electrical engineer, to explain more about how a computer look like at a later point in time, not now, so that you guys get an idea about it. Okay, or any other electrical engineer who actually understand the concepts of motherboard, how and if they can explain these terms a bit more effectively, we will rope him or her in, and we will get into the details. But I hope you understand the relationship between a human and a computer. A human also have some body parts which are connected as part of the which are mounted on as part of the skeleton, and they're connected using cables like nervous system, etc., right? When it comes to computer, it also have some core components: memory, CPU, storage, and all these things are mounted onto the motherboard, and they are connected using some cables. Now, this is with respect to a computer. However, you want to connect the computer with other computers, or you want to connect your computer to the internet. Okay, so you have to talk to the external world. How will you talk as a person? You typically communicate, right? the way you communicate is by talking whenever people are available. You can use phone as a additional device to talk, and that's how you communicate. When it comes to computer, if you have to communicate with other computers, we need to have something called as network. Okay, so the other hardware component which is typically used in the computer world is nothing but network. Again, network is a layman term. Depending upon uh, where we are going to use this network, we use different devices. And then I will explain those details also up to an extent so that you get some gist of it. First of all, to facilitate, if you want to make a phone call, right, you need to have a phone. The other person also have to have a phone, right? And also you need to have a phone connectivity. You need to have a cable that comes in. If you are using landline, there has to be a cable which connects to your landline phone. And other person also, if you want to talk over landline, there has to be a cable which connects to his phone. And your phone should have some hardware components internally to understand the connectivity and make sure that you are able to communicate over the phone. Similarly, even computer will have something called as network adapter. Okay, this is within the computer itself. So you will have a network adapter. As of now, we are using Wi-Fi, and hence you guys might not be very familiar with this network adapter. But even with Wi-Fi also, we will have a Wi-Fi adapter. Okay, which eliminate the requirement of using a cable. 10 years before, we used to have a network internet only, and we used to connect the cable to our laptop, and that's how we used to use. There used to be a network adapter, which network port into which the cable can be mounted. Okay, and you should be able to see as part of your laptops, if your laptops are not very thin laptops. If your laptops are very thin, such as Macs and all, these days they are not providing network ports out of the box with the laptop. You have to use the connector, and then you have to connect with the cable internet. But these days we are primarily using Wi-Fi. Even Wi-Fi, there will be an adapter within the computer, and then that Wi-Fi adapter within your computer will talk to the Wi-Fi router in your home, and that's how it will communicate with the external world. Okay, so from the network perspective, as part of the computer, you will have a network adapter, and you have to make sure that this network adapter can talk to the router, either using a wire to connect with or Wi-Fi, so that you can communicate with other computers using internet. So these are the hardware components which you should start with, and over a period of time, depending upon the requirement, we can explore and we can take our knowledge to the next level. But you not only have to know the spelling of these terms, you really need to understand these terms as you grow and as you try to get proficiency using computers, and also build softwares using the computers. Okay, you should be in a position to build the softwares by yourself. As of now, we are only talking about using the softwares by installing them for our projects and all. Once you start getting into coding, if you are passionate about coding, then you should know how to build the softwares also. Except for medicine, irrespective of the career path you choose, you should be familiar with coding up to an extent. If you are aiming for medicine, probably developing softwares is not that important at this juncture, but in future things might change. Okay, so this is about hardware components. Make sure you understand up to an extent, if not everything. Let me highlight because this is also covered, so that we have reference before we start the next session. Now let me conclude this session by going back to the story, the three fishes story, why I have asked you to hear that story. I will be using that as use case, and I will teach you when we get into the Microsoft Office and Google Docs. And I will also tell you to listen more stories from your parents, and I will give you exercises. Each one should build a PowerPoint presentation with the story that I will assign to you. I will randomly choose and I will assign a story to you, and you have to create a presentation and you have to present towards the end of the session. Towards the end of the course. So every week you have to make some progress with that presentation once we get into the Microsoft Office, and then you have to come up with a final presentation and you have to give the demo also. Okay, that is the plan. That's why I ask you to listen that story from your parents. I will use that as use case, and I will explain the concepts of PowerPoint, getting the images from the internet, editing those images using appropriate softwares, and creating a nice presentation. I will also explain about animations. Okay, and then you can come up with the presentation and you can present with the broader audience.